There we go. We're starting.
Very nice.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the No Censorship program. Today we have a special guest, Ben Ezzes.
Thank you. I feel very special.
Oh, you're our second guest. You are our second guest. And we're just gonna, today, Sar is not gonna be with us today because he has other things to do and I do too. Maybe we'll do another one at the weekend. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, we're just gonna enjoy our time with Ben Ezzes, who's gonna give us definitely more contribution, or different contribution, I would say. No offense to Sar.
No, that's okay.
Okay,
I can't say I've listened to any of your podcasts so far, so...
Okay. I don't think you missed that much.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't you just tell us who you are a little bit? Tell us about
So my friends call me Ben. My students call me Bezzies. I grew up in Sydney. I went to school in this place, and now I teach in this place, and that's a whole separate story. But I teach English and studies of religion and Jewish studies and Jewish history and basically whatever they pay me to teach. And I do a lot, but I think that's probably a pretty good summary without boring everyone. And I have a lot of opinions when it comes to education. I'm very strongly opinionated, which I think is good for a podcast.
I think it's good to have a little bit of podcast about education. I don't think there are a lot of those.
No, there aren't very many interesting ones. I remember when I was in uni, I asked my lecturer, are there any podcasts about education that I can listen to? He said, I'll look into it. And the answer is no. There's a couple, but they kind of suck.
Okay, so usually the way we start with just really silly jokes.
Oh.
Okay. You know any good jokes?
I do know some. They're all very Jewish jokes. The only like, I don't know, like sometimes the joke will just come into my mind because I've heard it somewhere and I think that's sufficiently funny to remember. Mm-hmm. Like, well, everyone got corona eventually, but China got it right off the bat. It is stupid. There's an old, let me think. There's an old Jewish joke that the Pope and a rabbi decide to have a debate. You heard this one? Maybe.
No.
Anyway.
No.
And so they both show up to the Vatican Square, and they stand opposite each other. You know, all the Jews are on one side and all the Christians on the other side. And the debating is, do the Jews get to remain in the city of Rome? And the rabbi and the Pope are staring at each other very intensely. And the Pope takes out he takes out his fingers. And he makes a 3. And the Jew, he goes, 1. And the Pope thinks for a second. And the Pope goes, whoosh. And the Jew says, shh. And finally the Pope, he takes out the wafer and the wine. And then the Jew takes out an apple. And everyone's quiet at the square, and the Pope says, the Jews already beaten me. The Jews get to stay. And the rabbi's already beaten me, and everyone goes nuts. No, what's happening? And they go, and all the Christians, they go ask the Pope, and they say, Holy Father, how is it that you lost to a rabbi? What did he do? And the Pope says, this man, he totally outclassed me. First, I said that, God is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's the Trinity. And the Jew, he replied to me by saying that the God we share is the same one God. And I thought that was an incredible argument. And then I told him that God is all around us in the same way that we both believe. But no, he told me that instead God is right here. I thought, what an incredible man to make such arguments with only his fingers. And then I took out the wafer and the wine, and I showed him that communion is the only true path to God. But then he took out an apple, and he was referencing the original sin of Adam and Eve, and it was such an incredible argument I couldn't possibly continue. And then they go to the rabbi, and the Jews go to the rabbi, and they say, Rabbi, how did you win this debate? He says, I have no idea how I won this debate. First, he says, I'm going to give you 3 days to get out of the city. And I say, we need 1 week to get out of the city. And then he says that I'm going to make you go all over the place. And I said, we're staying right here. And they said, oh, and then what happened? And then he said, I have no idea. And then he took out his lunch and I took out my lunch. So an old joke.
Okay. It's all right. So what I do here, like I write really short, stupid jokes that make everyone silent.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like for example, I love drinking coffee, so I bought some coffee for some coffee cups and gave them for everyone in the teachers' lounge. I also love death.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
So I give death cups for everyone.
Oh, very nice.
It's kind of mushroom. Okay, so that's one. Okay, there's my friend had a boy 2 days ago. Okay, and then when he was in the hospital, he also met another father. He had a girl 4 days ago. So the father told him, he said, "Listen, maybe one day our kids are going to be together." And then my friend said, "Well, I don't want my boy to date someone twice his age."
Stupid. Love it. Yeah.
Okay, this is an Australian one. Okay, the Prime Minister is being investigated for involvement in corruption associated with her ex-boyfriend. That just proves that you got to leave your past behind and be Gladys.
Poor Gladys.
Yeah. Well, how do you call a teacher that started working in construction? Well, teacher on a holiday.
Oh.
Yeah.
I get the impression you've done a lot of construction.
I do work in construction when we have break times.
Oh, really?
Sometimes, yeah, because it's not because I have to, but because it's really fun.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is fun. Like if you have experience in it a little bit, and then you come back to it, it's like playing basketball for me, just for the day. Just really good at exercise. It really is, like, I really enjoy it.
We have a different idea of a good time. That's okay.
Oh, definitely. Okay. So, have you heard about this? There's a storm in the U.S. called how do you call it now? It's okay. We can look at these stuff. It's okay.
I have no idea.
Yeah, the thing is, it's
what?
called Xfinity.
I've never heard of Xfinity.
Xfinity. So basically, to be honest, I haven't heard about it either that much.
Were you hoping that I had done research into something?
Oh, never, no.
Okay.
But the thing is, what I wanted to illustrate is every year they have some kind of a weird name for a storm in the U.S. You know what I mean?
You mean like a physical like rain storm?
Like rain and winds and stuff like that, and then there's always somebody drowning somewhere in Florida.
Yeah, because it turns out that most of the east coast of the United States is just a terrible place to build stuff. It's just it's prone to cyclones and stuff all the time.
Yeah, there's I think in Florida, they have the snake problem, and they have a swamp area, the southern part, the Everglades.
Yeah.
So one time they had a storm, and someone had a house for snakes. Where he grew snakes and everything, fertilized snakes.
I think I know where this is going, and I'm terrified. Yeah.
Yes, and then there was a storm, so the house broke down, and all the snakes ran away.
Oh no.
And then the Everglades became a big swamp for snakes, and then you can't get rid of all the snakes. They eat everything that's there. They eat crocodile, big, bloody Asian snakes.
I don't know how they couldn't have seen this coming. It seems obvious.
Yeah.
No, truth be told, I've got family in the States. I haven't heard much about a big storm, but every once in a while, it's just buckets and and there's not really much you can do about it. My dad, he lives in Connecticut. You know where that is? It's
yeah, it's Midwest.
It's not at all. It's next to New York, but it's
right.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I mixed it up.
No, and he lives in an area that's very, very flooding prone. So he used all the time there'll just be floods that come through. And I remember when we used to be living in a nearby town, used to tell me, people were kayaking down the streets when it got flooded. So
that's fun.
Yeah. Well, I wish we could do it here.
Well, yeah, just have a little bit of flood going on.
Yeah.
Get the kayak out of your house.
That's the one thing I think that climate change could be a positive. And, at least it could change things up. Maybe Sydney could it's probably just going to get even more hot and unbearable. Maybe, we'll get some flooding or snow or who knows. Probably not.
Snow. Maybe snow. I like snow. Sometimes I like snow. Yeah, snow. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna skip the next part because it's really not interesting. There's. I would like to it's kind of this is really interesting subject because it's kind of parallel to what we experience here in school, right? So they had in basketball they had these two players called Jokic and Markieff Morris. Okay, so Jokic he plays he's a star player for the Denver Nuggets for Denver Nuggets team, and Markieff Morris he also has a twin that plays in the NBA. But he plays as a forward center for a team named Miami Heat.
Right.
And their last game together, the Morris brothers, him and his twin brother, they're well known for having aggressive fouls.
Yeah.
So
basically.
What happened was that Jokic had enough at some point, and Markieff he had an aggressive foul. He fouled him, and then he even pushed him with his hand. So he says and then he really disregarded it. So he just continued to walk, and he turned his back to Jokic in the middle of the game. So Jokic is a 7-foot giant. Okay, Markieff is not still a basketball player. He's like 6'7", but he's not as heavy and big. And he just ran his shoulder in his back, and then Markieff Morris just couldn't stand up, and he got injured, and he couldn't participate in the next game. So I really don't know how to react to it. On the one hand, I think that he did something that Jokic did something that the entire league wanted to do, because the guy was being very aggressive and very dirty play. He plays a lot of dirty plays in the game. But on the other hand, basically the other guy is right now
Is he seriously injured? Is it?
I think something in the neck, nothing too serious. He's gonna
serious?
He's gonna miss one game at least. So it's not like a career ending.
Right.
But it's still quite a retaliation, I'd say.
I don't know. You're the martial arts guy, right?
Yeah.
I don't really have the knowledge, but my understanding is as soon as you go to attack someone, there's always the possibility of serious injury.
Yeah. So I think he kind of a lot of, if you go online, you'd see everyone he had it coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look, but I don't know. So he was getting lots of fouls, and so surely he was suffering in the game. No, wasn't it more difficult to be in the play? By the way, I have no frame of reference for basketball.
Okay.
All I know is you said Miami Heat, the name LeBron James came to mind. That's all I know, right?
He used to be there, right?
Right, yeah, there you go. I'm not stupid, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's getting lots of aggressive fouls.
Yeah. Now, Morris, Markieff Morris guy from Miami, he's doing aggressive foul. Super aggressive, super dirty.
Yeah. So doesn't he get pulled up by the ref for that?
So if the ref can see it, if the ref doesn't see it, just doesn't do anything. Okay. And sometimes it is dirty but legal. Okay, so
he's not being a good sport.
He's not being a good sport, no. Really not being a good sport.
Some part of me, how you can have lawful good and a chaotic good, and So the lawful good side of me is I don't know. He should just he should get in trouble with the rules. But then occasionally you just kind of want to it's not that you would ever do that to anyone. It's just that you're happy to look the other way when someone does it.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I don't endorse this.
Yeah.
No student should ever do that, but I get it.
No, you shouldn't do that. Never. Yeah. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. I see it as sometimes these kind of these kind of dirty plays causes serious injuries later. So I do not if there is a rule. There's no rule that protects you, for example, or nobody actually does anything about these things. It's really easy. I think there is a natural process where you need to at some point just stand up, just do something about it, even if you get retaliation later. You know what I mean? Even if you get Even okay, I got up, I hit the guy, and he's not gonna do that again, maybe or maybe not. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
Probably,
I know what you mean.
they'll
It's
probably
a
do it
bit
again.
vigilante though, you know.
Yeah, it is vigilante.
It's a bit vigilante, and it's difficult. You know what's funny about vigilantes is
Yeah.
like superheroes are also vigilantes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, Daredevil, all the other ones.
yeah, literally every superhero. So like, unless you like watch the whole Marvel thing, I you get like other friends of mine in here and argue with me. But you know, like generally, we acknowledge that sometimes the rules aren't working for some people. So people take matters into their own hands. Maybe this means that basketball has to think about its rules. I don't know. I don't know enough about basketball to tell what to do. You know.
Probably. They have been doing some changes in rules because sometimes people did took advantage of fouls and then took advantage of them to create more points and create more situations. So, for example, think about it like as a school thing where somebody basically someone rants on his friend when he is doing the trouble. You know what I mean? And then he gets the credit for talking to the teachers and everything.
Yeah.
So I would think about it some way like that. But the thing is, they also cause them to do this stuff. For example, like someone the offensive, like someone who is in the offensive, he just grabs the defensive hands, just carries it with him, and then the ref says, "Oh, his hand is there. That's a foul against the defender."
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I mean, I never played much team sport growing up, but like I like to catch the occasional game of like soccer or whatever, and I'm always impressed by like how physical these games, which aren't even, you know, like when I watch like a rugby game, which I don't, but if I did, it's very physical, but it's like on purpose physical. Then there's the games like soccer, which are like, they're supposed to be a little bit physical, but like there are rules, and like you can clearly see when people are being aggressive and people, I don't know, like it's a fine line. And I think that there's like a spectrum of how people decide to play. Like you actually can't not be aggressive in these games. I figure.
You have to be aggressive.
You have to be aggressive, right? So that has to translate to something. And I guess eventually, like in all sports, someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah, probably. Also, being aggressive, if we'll renege that, I'll just connect it to another player. There's an Israeli player in the NBA called Deni Avdija. Okay? And he has been appeared not as a good offensive player, okay, despite he was a very good offensive player in the Israeli league. He appeared to be one of the best defensive players in the NBA today, which is quite interesting the way he shifted from being offensive and then become more defensive and not that aggressive, by the way, very smart defender, okay, and guards the superstars and also doesn't do a lot of points. So I think in that, not actually in that context, in different contexts, it's nice to see that even in teams, in every kind of team, there's someone that does. Everybody plays a role at some point that fits them most, and then it becomes a part of who they are. You know, so I think Deni Avdija had some kind of change in identity when he came to the NBA, and I think it's actually going to do very good for him because he got to a point where like he's not as best as like he's a very smart player. You can see that he can lead the offense, but you can see that he has to like that he uses that wisdom also in defense, and he's very young, so he does have a lot of potential, and I think that indicates that he's going to stay there. That's not obvious for Israeli players. We had Omri Caspi that was in the NBA for 9 years, and then he was injured a lot, and sometimes he went to bottom to not the best of teams in the NBA. It is the NBA, it is the best teams in the world, but still not the best teams usually. And Avdija, it seems like he's going to be a good player, like a good defensive player. He will turn out to be a good defensive player in a big team. So he's going to have a small role in a big team. Which is
important. Like, I feel like team sports, you sort of have to have a mix, and like you learn as you go to take on different roles. Just like in life, you know, like in different jobs. You know, when I was a madrich, what you would call like a counselor, like a leader, right? And like when you were in like a tzevit or a team, you would like have different people who used to take on different roles. Like sometimes you used to have like one role which no one wanted to be, which was like the trying to find a less expletive word, like the mean one, right? The one who like Chip Chuck has to be the person who's going to tell everyone what they have to do, and everyone hates them, but that's what they're supposed to be, right? And like transitioning through that, I had to take on those sorts of roles occasionally, not because I wanted to, because it's good to like develop into different roles, and like I think talent's part of it, people can be talented in different areas, but like the more you take on different things, the more that you grow, and maybe you learn and you become a more well-rounded player or person. So why not?
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Sure thing. I understand. Yeah. Maybe also it's kind of leadership to the thing. Like even if you're the small wheel, maybe you can add a proportion of leadership to the team.
I think leadership is about knowing what your function is. Like, you don't have to be always in front to be leading, and but you do have to be in a position that you like you understand you can do well, right? You can lead from anywhere. You just have to not be bad at your job. That's the worst. And you have to try.
Yeah.
You have to try.
You could see it like on Sunday. I think I watched UFC, and I saw that. That's the fighting one.
Yeah,
that's the fighting one. So I was watching, and then you could see the general commissioner of the UFC, like the big guy, is called Dana White. He was watching, as he was there, he had a screen when he watched another boxing event that was happening at the same time.
See, it's like that to me is so weird. It's just, I don't know how you can
Come
do
on,
that.
man.
I don't know how you can do that. It's like direct competition, no?
Yeah, like he used to, every time someone
Or you got to
wins-
watch the competition to understand the competition.
So what he does, like every time a fight ends, he goes to the arena, gives doesn't hold the hands up, shakes the guy's hands.
Yeah.
If it's a championship bout, he goes up to the arena and put the championship belt on their waist, or bring a celebrity. Last time it was Halle Berry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
Okay. So when they do it like that, and this is what they do. This is what he does. So I think sometimes during breaks between fights, or even not during fights, you can be still concentrated and watch these two things. Like I can watch this one. This interests me, despite there were some really boring fights. Like some of them just didn't go anywhere, and you just.
Can I ask? What makes an interesting fight? Is it an interesting fight when they're like very evenly matched, or when they're not evenly matched? Because I feel like the most entertaining ones, and I know that's weird, but like. Sometimes I'm entertained when I see someone who's really good at their fighting, just like absolutely beat the living daylights out of someone. Not that that's like good, but it's professional, It's like.
But it depends. Like they could be very evenly matched, but it depends what kind of what do they display, what do they bring in. Because for example, I watched this fight between. Usman and Covington. That was like the main event of the evening. Well, basically it was 25 minutes that I think you had a knockdown once at the second round, and that's about it. Like every time Covington actually during the fight actually gained some when they stood up, like there's a few levels of the UFC. You stand up, you box or fight or kick, and there's the grappling part, which is wrestling and ground game, which I usually like more.
Right.
It also depends on your level of interest. So when they fought on the hand, so Covington was actually okay. Okay, he was starting to manage everything during round 4 and 5, and then he went for just try to wrestle with Usman, and Usman's wrestling is superior to almost every wrestler I've ever seen. Okay, so that was like. Dude, you could have won the fight. Just keep it up.
It's the poor decision, right?
Yeah, just poor. It depends on so many levels. Sometimes you can see two people that are evenly matched. Okay, but some guy is really good at ground game. The other one is really good at not ground game, at standing up. So you see a variety of these things. Okay, but mostly it's interesting how they strategize their game. So I watch this. I want to see a finish. I don't want to see a decision. Usually, sometimes you can see a decision and it's fine, but you need to get every all the time something needs to happen for me. Like they're taking him to the ground. Okay, they're standing up. Okay, they're starting to box. They're not like sometimes they begin fights. First round, they just throw only 20 punches at each other because they're just trying to feel their opponent. It's boring.
Yeah, I also seen like those boxing fights where people are just like, I don't know, they're playing very defensive and they're like hugging and I know it's not technically called hugging, but you know what I mean. Like it's not interesting to watch. I know it's not in the movies. Have you seen Ip Man, by the way?
Hitman?
Ip Man.
IP? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ip Man. Yeah, I saw that guy.
Oh. So that stuff, I'm sure, is all nonsense, right? Right? But it's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. Yeah. So I want something like very technical and true, but something like Ip Man.
Yeah.
A little bit Ip Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do we have next? Now we have things that kind of you wanted to discuss about. What about Jewish education online?
Oh.
What's that?
So I was just looking at stuff online, and I thought that like something that's interesting that I saw an article about is like education online for like minority communities. I don't know, like I think that because I used to teach what's called in Australia SRE, which is like, I know this is bizarre. I don't think you've never heard of this, right?
No, I didn't.
So in Australia, in public schools, the government provides half an hour for like religious groups to come in and teach. But like you get to choose what you go to, right? It's really, really good for students who are religious or multi-ethnic because then they get to like connect with their religion in public schools. And like, for instance, like the Hindu community, it's like they don't have day schools. Like it's the only way that they can, have some sort of Hindu instruction. I used that for the Jewish community. I used to get all over the place. And the challenge is like you can never like meet everyone and be everywhere. And sometimes there are kids all over the place. So I just think that the COVID was really interesting because for the first time, everyone started to think, like, what if we did like all education online for like certain things, right? And it opens up possibilities because like, what about like the one Sikh kid who lives in like rural Victoria who's not able to learn, but now with online education, they can like connect with a teacher much more easily. And it's not like it couldn't happen in the past, but it just didn't really happen very much, like it was very like here and or there. There's also, teaching over the air, which used to, like over the radio, which used to happen. But like, I feel like people are really, I feel like one of the outcomes, one of the positives of COVID is that we know that teaching online is not as good, right? I don't think it's as good.
I wouldn't say that, but okay.
Okay, accept my proposition, right?
I'll accept your
right,
proposition.
Thank you.
Right.
But also that but we've gotten better at it. So if we need to do it and we can open up all these possibilities to like, Jewish students in like Croatia or like, Hindu students in who knows where, anywhere where there's a student who's a minority, they can now access like a kind of education that's tailored to them and they couldn't before. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I think it is. It is beautiful. It's the exact word I'm looking for.
I just want something positive, hey?
I think, to be honest, I think that online education hasn't been practiced as much as face-to-face education. So I wouldn't call it worse. I didn't enjoy it just for myself, of course, but I think it's okay for students to be like, we do need to face-to-face. They need the interaction. We are human beings, definitely. There is a very important element in that. But the online education, I think it was in somewhat very student-oriented. Because students today, they participated more in worksheets when we were at home than we were in class. They read more when they were at home, read more Hebrew for my class when they were at home than they were at class. I had less fights when they were at home or they were at class.
Less disruption.
Less disruption. I could have taught a lot easier. I took most of the online tools that I used at home, I took them here. And I'm having good success in it, like relatively, I think. Okay, I do transfer things to writing. I do tell them to write in their notebooks, at least in language learning. Okay, I told them to write now. Okay, but I do believe that the online learning is a direction we're going towards, and I think the older the students, the better it goes. Actually, the better it becomes. Because when they're young, they need the interaction more, and they need that babysitting Okay, but they're like when they're in grade, where they're like at year 10, year 11, year 12. They can do it. They can do just fine from home. They can do some things.
You know, it's funny because I also think about how university is.
Yeah.
Right? And university, I saw like a joke I was like looking up. I was, thinking about my time at university, and I saw a joke that was like, what's the most expensive streaming service? Not Netflix, not Stan, but university, right? Because for a lot of people, it's just been like, sit at home, you go to a lecture, maybe you go to a tutorial, maybe you like listen to something,
Yeah.
right? So I guess I like the idea that high school and primary school are like a reflection of like how adult life should be a little bit. Like you should be in person.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right that probably more and more people are going to be like in our society working from home, if they can. So it probably in a way makes sense to have a little bit of online school.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably happen next year again. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I'm ready to go online again for another maybe a month. That's it. Yeah.
I'm ready to go online forever.
Really? I like seeing.
Not forever. But
I know. I think there's also certain things that you can like accomplish that you can't accomplish. Like group work is almost impossible to like reliably get right
When they're at home?
when they're at home.
Yeah.
I put them in a call. I put them in breakout rooms or whatever, right? And I like move between the breakout rooms. And what's funny is like it doesn't actually tell them that I've come in. So like I just like barge in and like sometimes they're like talking about nonsense, right? But at least they're talking, right? And like about half the groups have their cameras are talking to each other. The other half are not talking to each other. And of the half that are talking to each other, about another half have their cameras on, right? So maybe like a quarter are actually doing the group work, half are not, and like another quarter are like trying, Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. I get better cooperation with group work in class too.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes like I really wish that some kids stayed home, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention names.
No.
I'm not gonna mention names. Yeah, but I know. Yeah, like, yes, definitely, I'd go with that. What else do we have? Well, what is? You wrote this as a subject. You said big talk versus small talk. What do you mean by that?
What do people talk about on podcasts? I know it's very meta, right?
Whatever
but
they
like,
want. It's like
I know, but like, what is like? People often say like, we were just making small talk, right? You know what I mean? Like talking about the weather and.
Podcast is. I don't think podcast is small talk.
Is it or is it not? That's what I'm saying.
It depends. I think it depends. Like, well, how do you find small talk?
Well, I don't know. That's the question, right? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I'll have like a 10-minute conversation with someone, and we'll cover lots of, but I'll feel like it was small talk. Maybe it's talk that isn't unique. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I think maybe you could define small talk by talking on things that are very light and not heavy intellectually or emotionally. Like talking on the weather, it's light, very nice. But if you talk about like, you can speak in 10 minutes on deep philosophical values or about a girl having problem with a boy, that's not a small talk. That's a
or a boy having problems with a girl.
Usually
No, but I think on the one hand I agree with you, but then there are exceptions to that rule, right?
Yeah.
So like, what if you're really good friends with someone, right? And that person is sick, and you talk about their sickness. That's not light anymore, but it's also small talk because like, what are you talking about? Like things you regularly talk about them. You know what I mean? What an awful example. I'm sorry. I'm fine, I promise.
I don't think we should, there's, I don't think that ever talking about a disease is going to be small. It's not a small talk.
Okay, fine. That's
kind of a holy talk. Yeah, man, you had cancer, so.
So how's leukemia? No, yeah.
It doesn't. No, you just gotta. A small joke is a small talk.
What if it's a dark joke? Is that big talk?
No, that's a small talk. it's a small talk.
What if it
That's
makes
the
some?
limit.
What if it makes someone? I don't know. Do you have any dark jokes?
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Well, I got plenty. I got plenty.
Okay, all
I
right,
got
fine.
plenty. I can say Holocaust jokes, Jew jokes, even other jokes, but I would rather not.
You'd rather not. Okay.
I would rather not to. I'd leave it with my brother. He's
That's
gonna-
fine. Okay, you're making your brother sound like a very interesting person.
He is a very interesting
sure.
person. He's a very interesting person, I have to say.
For sure.
And most of our talks with my brother are small talks.
Huh.
Just say jokes to each other, like stupid jokes that we only like. We communicate in different language than even Hebrew.
Is it because you were afraid of big talk? I'm not at psycho.
No. How does it make you feel? No, because it's just the way we are, just the way we're programmed.
Fair enough.
But we are having like big talks sometimes, man. Like we have podcasts where we discuss like for 20 minutes on 20, 30 minutes on COVID and freedom and
See, COVID
replications
is
and
big
stuff.
talk,
Yeah.
but it's becoming small talk. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
So it's a disease. It's killed people, right? People are sick all the time.
Yeah.
But now it's small talk. It's like, hey, have you seen the case numbers? Yeah, 2 people died. That's now small talk, man. What is that?
You know, there's a saying. There is a saying. If one person die,
It's a
it's a
statistic.
tragedy.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a tragedy. If several people die, it's statistic. So it became a statistic.
So it's now small talk.
So it's now small talk. Yeah, dying. People dying.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that. So if a student fails a test once,
Yeah.
is that a big talk? And then a student fails a test 4 times, a small talk, you know? Like, man, they're still doing what they did before.
Yeah, it's still failing. You know, nothing new here. It's a good point.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Look at all the fun things we're discussing. Disease.
It's all right.
Everyone's going to need a Valium after this podcast.
Yeah. What does it mean? Okay, so I'm just going to switch firmly and shiftily. What does it mean to be an adult? What do you think that means?
I don't know.
Not failing 4 tests, hopefully.
Not feeling for tests. I often think about this when it comes to education. Like,
Mm.
how do we are we involved in making adults, or are we just involved in teaching them stuff?
I think it's inevitable that you would be involved in making them adults, but I think you more, like at least where, never mind. Anyway, I think where, from my experience where I taught here and in Israel, we're basically fighting to teach them stuff. Not even teaching, like not fighting maybe is not the right word.
It's like the UFC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish. I would win every fight.
Okay.
They're kids, come on.
I could probably take 10. I would not take 10, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but I think we're struggling in teaching them subjects instead of making them human beings. Okay, and yeah, it's very like sometimes I think I should have a degree in psychology instead of behaviorism, which is education basically.
You know, I agree with you. Look, it's just like the challenge is where do you fit in like the how to be an adult stuff, and also like is the goal of a school for everyone to leave as an adult? Because if so, we're failing. Like, wow.
Definitely.
You know, I know lots of people who I was in school with, and I'm not trying to bag anyone in particular, but like who just like never really grew up.
It's not like, first of all, like it's not just them. It's like you're younger than I am, but it's also my generation like that and older people than me. I lived in a house where people in their late 30s do not want to commit to anything. So maybe commitment is a part of adulthood, I think. Maybe it's just, there's a saying, life is not how much you, how easy it is, it's how hard you can get it and continue on and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a big saying. But I think for me, the most maturing experience was army life. Definitely, most maturing experience. Building a routine. Just building a routine. If a creative person can build a routine, like a very creative person, usually highly creative people are having a lot of trouble creating a routine for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And if they were able just to create a routine to put a little bit of order to their life, they flourish. You know, I have a friend, he's a friend of my sister's. He's a drummer, okay? He's a really good drummer, okay? When he lived in Tel Aviv, he was pretty messed up, for example. At some point he moved to Berlin, but it's not the move that made him organized, just the way he worked on himself. And then you come to his apartment. He let us stay in his apartment for 7 days when we were there. His apartment is organized like hell, you know? He teaches drums, and he played in a band, and everything is so organized, and he has a place, he has creativity, but it's contained, okay? He can take his creativity skill and point it to a certain direction, okay? We have a lot of creative children here, a lot of creative students here, okay? And our job, that's what I think, is create that frame so they could flourish. It's like dancing. Okay, if you go to a nature party, okay, which I have went for one or two.
Nature.
Yeah, a bush party.
Yeah.
Okay, which I
don't know what a bush party is.
Well, basically, it's going to the nature,
And having a party.
putting a big speaker, and everyone do whatever they want.
Okay, yeah.
Usually involves, not for me, but I saw a lot of other people doing drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of drugs, psychedelic drugs mostly, which are highly not. I do not support these kind of things. Very important to mention. It can mess you up sometimes.
Yeah.
I've seen people. It messed up my cousin. Anyway, so you got these people, and they have no frame. They have no limitation. They have a lot of creativity. When they dance, it looks very messed up. Not messed up. It's not the word I'm looking for. It looks very balagan, very messy. Okay, and they hit each other sometimes.
I don't do that.
And they just go crazy.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if I go to a salsa party, okay, with not even high quality of dancers, good dancers that taught, there were high quality, I mean people that are competing in bands and stuff like that, in dancing bands, groups and stuff like that. So I'm talking about just people that learn for a month or two. It also looks a lot more organized, and therefore it looks a little bit more beautiful. And also people are getting to a really high levels in dancing. It looks nice. Okay, it doesn't look very messy, and the people that are highly creative. My old boss was that kind of person. He's a very highly creative person. Okay, and suddenly when you see the guy dances and he has a little bit of frame, you can see, ignore the bell. So you can see that when he has a direction, it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
But when it's just sort of all over the place,
Yeah.
formless, it's not interesting.
Exactly.
I feel like there's something philosophical about that, about like the form of it. But like, I get you. I feel like, thinking about your drummer friend, was it the fact that he went overseas that made him into this organized person?
Maybe he put some things behind him, maybe something with his parents, I'd say.
Because I think that, you sort of need sometimes a bit of a kick in the butt to get your life in order.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And sometimes sometimes you need like a big talk moment. You need like something like really serious to happen for you to think about like, my status quo is really bad and I need to like fix it.
Oh, I had it. Somebody kicked me from their house.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So I had that kick. It was very much needed. Very needed.
And that's like, I feel like a lot of schools, I feel like sometimes we need to do that with students as well. Not physically assault them, but like sometimes you just have to be real with them. Like if you keep giving people chances and whatever, you think you're being kind to them, but sometimes kindness is like just being like, hey, well, like this is reality and it's here and it's not going away.
We're not, I think.
That's adult.
I think we're not doing them any favors.
No.
We're nice to them.
That's adult.
Okay?
I feel like
I love them, but love should come from respect, and should come not like, I don't like to force respect, of course. It should come from respect, from knowledge, from experience, and not from, and love, which a lot of parents, specifically rich ones, confuse with. Okay, I don't know if it's specifically a phenomenon in Australia or in Israel, but they confuse love with spoil. Okay, so that's that. You need love is not spoiling. Love is you need to grow up to. Sorry.
No.
You need to when you grow up a child, you need to think about the adult they're gonna be. Okay, you don't think about the person there now, because if you want your child to become the adult you want to be, you need to put him some limitations. Tell him not limitations like you can't do anything. Limitations is you can achieve whatever you want if you'll be organized, for example. Or you can. You can take a lot and continue going on. People built the greatest companies at the beginning. They worked for hours and hours and hours. They had some rules and stuff like that till they get to a moment where they just become decision makers. Okay, which is also interesting.
I feel like a lot of parents have this vision, and again, I'm not a parent, so I don't want to tell parents how to parent.
Yeah.
But I'm not stupid, and I work with kids. I think a lot of parents see it as I just love my kids a lot, and they want to show them that they love them more and more and more. But it's not about more and more and more, because love is about consistency, not about extent. If you love someone always and not more, that means more. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I know you're bilingual, so it's I don't want to confuse you.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the right kind of love is also respectful and respects boundaries and respects that all kinds of things. And as you say, I know this is going to sound really rich, especially if you're a socialist, but I think that really, really rich people have it tough sometimes, not in terms of the basic stuff, which everyone else has to worry about, but it's really difficult to raise kids that aren't awful. You know what I mean? You really have to put in effort to not raise kids with proper values, because the challenge is that they've got everything already. They're never going to not have everything unless something terrible happens. How do you introduce adversity into that life?
Well, that's the question.
So we should take all their money and put it out there. But
no, camps like summer camps is good sometimes.
Yeah,
gatherings.
I've seen a lot of those. There's outward bound sort of. There's some weird ones though. There was a really terrible school in the States called Elan School where they kidnapped people and they took them just to. But anyway, look, I'm saying do your research.
Yeah.
But a little bit of scout. I did scouts Tzofim when I was in school. That was always good.
Yeah.
Something that gets them into somewhere where they can't immediately call their parents and say, "Take me home, I'm scared."
Sounds like my army.
Yeah. I was gonna say it sounds like the army.
It is. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's do. How much time do we have? We have
10 more minutes.
10 more minutes, so we're just gonna do one advice. We're gonna go financial or romantic.
I'll go romantic.
Romantic.
I'm a romantic, not more than I'm a financial person.
Okay, let's see. Girls is cheating on her boyfriend, but I'm not sure I should get involved by telling him. Okay. There's a girl that I know. There's a girl at work. A few weeks ago, and we started seeing each other outside of work. I didn't see any problem because she never told me she had a boyfriend. However, her boyfriend turned up at work yesterday and picked her up because we had a long day. I chatted him for a moment while he was waiting for her, and it was really awkward. He seems like a decent guy as well, and now I feel really bad. Should I just leave it to them, or should I tell them what's been going on? I'll be honest, really like her, but the fact that she kept this from me made me upset, and I'm going mad all day thinking about it. I'd say you should. What do you think?
I don't know.
This becomes from a very high talk. We go very low, at very low. So I'd say I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
Okay, I've had friends that have been in polyamorous relationships.
Okay.
For those people, it seems to have worked. So it needs to be a mature conversation, you know?
Yeah.
Assume, I don't know, to me that story seems a bit weird, because it seems like, is the other guy genuinely not aware? And if he's genuinely not aware, then yeah, that's a big problem. But all that needs to basically happen is a mature conversation. That's the solution to like 99% of relationship problems. Is two adults need to sit and talk with one another.
Yeah, I agree. I think he needs to talk to her about it first.
Yeah.
Just listen. What's going on with this guy? Is he her boyfriend? And try to figure out like. If she's like, you can see there are signs of her lying to you too, so you can know.
That's a red flag for me.
Yeah. So.
But not like a. Yeah, look. Put it this way: if she's genuinely cheating on him, she'll cheat on you too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awful.
When she's gonna be miserable, she's gonna cheat on you, instead of opening and talk about it in a mature conversation.
So it's a red flag. I would have a mature conversation and just be like, hey, so like, is he aware of me and how we're going? And like, if the answer is no, then that's very bad.
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is yes, then like, it's a good thing you had a conversation then.
Yeah, now you know. Now we know what's going on, and then you could have a better educated decision.
The wrong decision is to do nothing.
Oh, do not do nothing.
Do not do nothing.
You're
just like kicking the ball down. You know, like it's just going to go nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're done. We're going to do, no, we got another 7 minutes. We can do
financial advice. I'm not very good at that, but I can try.
We can do stupid question section.
Oh, yeah, I love stupid
question. Would you rather wander in the desert for 40 years or stay in a city mikveh for 2 days? I thought about this question.
You mean like, hold on, clarify. You mean a mikveh like the regular, like the kind, you know, like a mikveh, like, you know, like the one you bathe in. You don't mean the one that you wash dishes in, like the one that okay. Because the one that you toivel dishes in is awful, generally.
City mikveh means a lot of people.
Oh.
That's what it means. So I
2 days?
2 days. 40 years in the desert.
Nah. I can get over 2 days.
You can get over 2 days?
I can get over 2 days.
I can get over 40 years in the desert.
Really?
Yeah, desert's cool. Man,
no, it's not. It's by definition not cool.
It depends. The Sinai Desert, sweet as. You got these diving resorts over there. You can go in every time. Desert could be also cold desert. There's in New Zealand, they call it the desert, and it's on Tongariro. It's going to be cold.
That's true. You go to Antarctica if you want. I just figure it'd be easy to spend 2 days in a sweaty, dank pool than have the rest of your life living wherever you want.
Let's continue. Let's continue.
What a gross. Very moist.
Thank you. Okay. Have bad food with big family, like during a holiday. Have not bad. Have okay food with the big family on a holiday, or have really good food with a small family.
Really good food with small family. Not even a question.
Not even a question.
Yeah.
I
we agree?
Sorry, no.
Oh God.
Sorry, no.
So like.
Because we have such a big family, and I like sitting like with 20, 30 people and have holiday dinner.
I like sitting with lots of people. I just get tired.
It's okay.
Right.
There's no you can stay there for 2 hours and then leave. It's not
I like small family gatherings. I definitely prefer good food over average food. Because the challenge is average food I have to eat more of to be satisfied. Which is not as healthy.
And you wouldn't like to eat it because it's average food.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand where you come from.
Jeez, okay. So far we're...
Family oriented though. What? I'm sorry, I'm very big family oriented.
No, I can tell.
Yeah.
So you must have a huge family.
Huh?
You must have a big family?
My sister has my mother has 4 siblings.
Wow.
My dad has 1 sibling, but have 30 cousins or something, 20, 30
Even
cousins.
in Australia?
And one of them is Australia. One of them is one of them in Sydney. The other one is in Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we got a little bit family here. So
That's
I got family here. That's one of the reasons why I moved here.
That's very nice.
Yeah, he doesn't know it. Don't tell him.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, that's another interesting one. Live as a rich person outside of Israel, or live as a poor person inside of it in Israel.
Oh, what a question.
Yeah.
How poor is poor?
You have food?
Can I still work as a teacher?
Yes. Well, basically in Israel, all teachers are poor. So it's not-
Yeah, okay, right.
it's not,
So
here
you're,
you get-
you're saying I could be a teacher and be rich if I work here? Wow.
Yeah, no, but you could have a decent life, I think,
Okay.
right?
I don't know. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
Because for me, also, like, giving charity is important. So you can change a lot of lives by living. Look, I think the answer for me would probably live rich here,
Yeah, I'd say that too.
but not because I would want to live rich, but because I'd like to give the money. Like, I like how I live right now. Like how I live right now is nice.
Yeah.
You know, I live in like a 2-bedroom apartment. I've got a cat. Eventually I'll have more than a cat, right? But like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't struggle for food. I have insurance, you know, like.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same situation to just hate cats. Anyway.
Well, you know what I'm saying? You know, like, I'd rather be comfortable and have a little extra money to give away than actually have to depend on people in a way.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I came here, by the way.
Mm.
Because I worked as a teacher in Israel. I understood it's going to take about 10 years till I get proper salary. Not mentioning that I won't be rich at any time at all, so I won't save money. Right now I'm saving money. I won't save money in Israel. So I'll have to be dependent on people, and I really don't want that. So I decided to move to Australia. But if things are changing in Israel and I could live decently in Israel, I might consider coming back. Who knows?
Right.
We'll see how it goes.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you very much for today, Ben.
Happy to be here.
Benjamin, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks.
Very clean.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. I'm Dror. Sar is going to be with us next week or this week. I don't really sure. Who knows? Okay. Like, share, subscribe. We have all the cutted videos that we need. So if you want to watch something that is subject oriented, you can go to our playlist. And yeah, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Bye bye.